All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. Every single week, I interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate professionals, and straight up top badasses out there dominating their space. And the dude that we have on today, guys, is on absolute fire. This is a dude in a few years that has created what most don't create in a lifetime, 30, 40 years of success in this industry. So to just give a quick little backstory. So he was an investment banker before he got into real estate agent. So investment banker turned mega real estate agent, started his real estate company, Momentum Realty, January of 2020. And since then has recruited over 170 plus top producing real estate agents and on track with the current numbers to do over 615 million in volume in the next 12 months, became a net millionaire within his first 3 years of his real estate career. Only 32 years old, also married, 3 kids. So stoked and honored to have Jon Brooks on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this, man. We got intro through a mutual friend, which I'm really glad that she did this, dude. Just looking at reading your bio, like, dude, man, you're crushing it, and at such a fast rate. Which I want to get into all what you've done, what you're doing today. But if we rewind the clocks, dude, what did you do right before in investment banking? But I'm curious. So, that's a lucrative space, a lot of opportunity. Like, what led you from that, and why real estate?
Yeah, so I was a real estate investment banker at a really large Wall Street bank. So I would fly up from Jacksonville to New York City every 2 weeks and meet with the rating agencies. So basically, if you've ever heard of American Homes for Rent, Progress Homes, Invitation Homes, I was actually the sole analyst that would underwrite their loan tapes and their portfolios to give them loans. And then do the cash fall, the waterfall distribution models. I'd work on those and then go up to Wall Street, tranche them out, and then package them together and then sell them to investors internationally. So it's basically the securitization process. So I got to see the back end after a loan is originated of what happens to that loan and get to see that back end. The problem was that there was a pay freeze across the company. And the only reason you really go into banking is for the money. You learn a really amazing work ethic. You work with some brilliant people, but the amount of hours that you put in, you really should be compensated for it. So when the pay freeze came across the company and I was one of the top performers in the group, I was very frustrated. So I didn't have upside potential in my income. Right at that exact moment, I went through my first homes purchase with my girlfriend, now wife, Brittany, and we made an offer on a house and they didn't even respond to it. So I went over and knocked on the door and the seller said he didn't receive my offer. And it was because the real estate agent wasn't doing their job, wasn't answering their emails. She actually was trying to double side it, we found out later. And that was the reason why our offer wasn't presented. And so at the end of the transaction, we saw how much the real estate agent had made and it was like, wow, I'm working 14 hours a day for an investment bank, waking up in the middle of the night for international phone calls, all this stuff. And I have a pay freeze and this agent literally did nothing and actually tried to not do the deal. So she could get double sided and made more money than me this month. So 2 weeks later, I just got my real estate license and quit my job and got into real estate sales.
Okay, man, I'm burning the ships. I'm jumping right into this.
Yeah, and I had no money. So I was from Washington, D.C. I just relocated to Jacksonville. I was $80,000 in debt. We had just bought a house. My girlfriend was like, you got 3 months to figure this out, Jon. If you don't make it, you can always go back and get another banking job. They'll probably rehire you, but go test it out for 3 months and see how it goes. And I was like, man, anything is better than sitting back in that corporate job and like basically a cubicle working for 14 hours a day. The job was good. I love the people I worked with, but it's like, if you're going to work that hard, you should have upside for it. You shouldn't still be broke, in my opinion. And that's what really led me to get into real estate sales.
Oh, man. So, okay, now back's against the wall. You got 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And we know the failure rate of 90% dropout in the first 3 years. Like what were those first few months like? What was that first year like that allowed you to build this crazy momentum?
Yeah, good word choice as well, because that's the name of our company, Momentum Realty. So basically I just hit the pavement. So I went to the office at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, just like I did at my banking job. And I'd put out balloons out front. It was like this old school franchise. And I didn't know it was like kind of like a, kind of dinosaur type of model until much later. But, I thought you could make money in property management because I wanted the cash flow. So I was like, okay, I'm going to build up my cash flow through PM. I've quickly realized that property management, there's not a lot of profit margin in it. It's just full of headaches. It's a lot of liability. I don't want to be involved with it. So I went around and just started door knocking and passing out flyers. And door knocking, passing out flyers, by the way, works if you hit enough doors. And so I got somebody who wanted to sell their rental property, went and listed their rental property. I did an open house on it every single day. While I was at the open house, if nobody was there, I'd call for sale by owner expired leads. And I would get really good on the phone. I would then door knock around the property. The neighbor down the street saw how hard I was working on it, hired me to sell his rental property, right? So if you show people you're willing to do the work and you communicate with them very effectively and quickly, then chances are you're going to get a referral from them, or they're going to reward you in other ways by just giving you business. And so that was something that I was able to take advantage of. So my first couple paychecks I got, I basically spent and put all the money back into the business buying online leads. I got scammed a bunch of times. I figured out that Realtor.com was legit. So I started buying Realtor.com. And so about 50% of my business came from online leads and 50% of my business came from organic, just generating business, open houses. Open houses was a huge way to get, really warp speed my business and get that immediate income because I didn't have any money. I mean, I had the bills stacking up and I had to find a way to get the money as fast as possible.
Hey, Joshua Smith here. I hope that you are enjoying this podcast interview. Hey, real quick, and we'll get back to this interview in just here in a moment, but I wanted to let you know, look, if you are a real estate agent, if you are a team leader, if you are a brokerage owner, and maybe your business is down, maybe it's stagnant, maybe it's growing, just not at the pace that you want it to grow at. It's like you're operating down here, but you know your potential is way up here. You just don't know exactly what to do to get you from exactly where you're at to where it is that you want to go. Now, if that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure coaching strategy call with me personally. This is going to be a 1 hour long Zoom call. And here's what we're going to break down. We're going to break down where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals are, what you are currently doing, what the biggest obstacles are that you are facing. Then from there, I'm going to map out and break out exactly what I recommend that you do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. So by the end of this coaching call, you are going to know exactly what you must do, what you must execute on to, again, get to from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. So I 100% got your back. I got you covered. I will get you dialed in. If you want to take advantage of this, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Now, full disclosure, we're going to spend about 50 minutes going through all that, making sure that we get you dialed in. And at the last 10 minutes, yes, I'm going to spend a few minutes letting you know about my coaching program, what it entails. And look, if it works for you, great. Not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. You have my word that you will know exactly what to do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. I will make sure that this coaching call is extremely valuable, extremely powerful for you to eliminate all that guesswork and get your business dialed in. I got your back. I 100% got you covered. So if you want to take advantage of that, again, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Yeah, not only didn't you not have money, you just bought this house. So now you got this new note. You're $80,000 in debt.
Yeah.
So you're below.
I didn't know anybody. I only knew the 4 people that I worked with at work too, because you work so much, you don't have enough time to meet people. So I didn't know anybody. So one of my first calls was my prior boss that I had just quit the job, and I was like, "Hey, you want to buy an investment property?" And we had enough rapport, and he actually ended up buying me one, and that gave me $3,000 to last another month.
Yeah, I love it, dude. So okay, so man, you're going out there, you're playing massive offense. You're not just waiting and praying and hoping deals fall in your lap like a lot of people do in our industry. Like you're going out there pounding the pavement and hustling. And now, is that because it sounds like, okay, you were accustomed to working these 14-hour days. Now, have you always been somebody that's just like a hard worker? Is that something that's innate? Do you just have always naturally had that drive?
Yeah, ever since like high school. I mean, I was kind of a mess up the first 2 years in high school, C student, and then not like a mess up, but like I wasn't hitting it on all cylinders. And then I made a friend who really turned things around for me. I kind of got out of the bad crew and got into the good crew, and things just, and he was really smart and told me, hey, you should read some books. You should actually do your homework and stuff like that. So high school hit it. I was first in my class at Virginia Tech in finance for the first 3 years, and then when I graduated, I just yeah. So yes, I've always been like very hardworking, really focused. I have like this fear of being broke. It still is with me today. I still check my bank account every single morning when I wake up, and most days smile on my face and all that kind of stuff. So it just hits like when you grow up. I didn't grow up particularly poor or anything. Like probably middle class, but funds were tight, and I wanted things to, I wanted to do other things, and I didn't have the money to do it. So I've always had a job, ever since I was, 13, 14 years old, even when I was 8 and 9, shoveling snow and all that stuff. So yeah, I've always had it. I've always had it. And I didn't know how to use it until I saw an income opportunity that was unlimited, which is in real estate sales. And that's where things really took off for me.
Yep, love it, dude. So what year was this when? Because I know you started Momentum in 2020, but what year was this that you actually got licensed?
So I got licensed late 2015 and started January 2016.
Okay. So now, okay. So man, you're out there pounding the pavement. You're not wasting time, even in your open houses, downtime. You're not twiddling your thumbs. You're playing offense. What do I got to do to put deals together? Calling FISBO, like whatever it takes, right? So then how did that progress? From 2015, that first year, to 2020, now starting this brokerage. I'm guessing at some point you hit a capacity. Maybe there was a team element for a while. Like, how did you continue to scale this?
Yeah. So my first year, 2016, I ended up selling 66 properties, which was awesome. I think it was like a local record for a first year person, which was cool. Then the second year I got smarter. I decided to increase my price point. And then I realized that your price point determines almost every other factor of your business model. So I increased my price point. I sold 74 homes that year. I switched companies to Keller Williams to learn how to build a team. They taught me a lot of great things. Then in 2018, I convinced my wife, who is also an investment banker, to quit her job and come in. And so she came in, and together we sold 143 plus homes in that one year and made over $1 million GCI. And so we were invited to the top 100 group. We were teaching classes. We were traveling around. This is how our conversion rate is so high. I was one of the youngest mastery coaches in their program for training and coaching other real estate agents. And it just, all the pieces started falling together. Along the way, we were buying rental properties and basically, putting 3% down, and 6 months later, moving to another house, putting 3% down, and renting out the prior one. And that helped us with our wealth building. So you can imagine buying houses in 2017 was a really good time to buy. 2019 hits, and we have a kid, our first kid, which is awesome. And at that point in time, Brittany was like, you need to handle all the clients, because she needed to handle the kid, right? It hit us pretty hard. We really did not prepare well for it. And so I had about 200 clients that I was going to serve that year on my own. And then I get a slip disc in my back and I can't walk. So we got to figure out, okay, I got 200 clients to serve. How do I build a business where I can't leave the house, but still serve all these people? And so we put together a showing agent model where we would have like 5 or 6 showing agents, and we would just play quarterback and do all the consultations, all the negotiations, but have other people, basically runners or Uber drivers, basically go out and meet the customer at the house. We would train them how to show the house and then report back to us. And we found out that this model is actually way more profitable and way more scalable than how we were doing it before. And we ended up, even though we closed a lot less in sales, we were making more money. And at the same time, we turned off the online leads. So yeah, we were, the online leads were turned off. We were doing the showing agent model, and we were making a really good amount of money relative to how much work we were putting in. And that's where things clicked. We got invited to share our showing agent model with our company and started, teaching other people how to do it, because we think we had cracked the code. At the same time, our online reviews were going up like crazy, because buyers could get into homes very quickly, wouldn't have to wait on our schedule, still have a great experience. We were able to do some more research from home. And that led us to have a bunch of people who wanted to join our team and figure out what we were doing. And we just realized that we were kind of in the model that we were in. We felt like we had to go to all these different classes to be able to teach a class. And there wasn't like a lot of upside opportunity. So we asked, hey, can we have ownership of the company? And they said no. We said, okay, then we're just going to go and make our own. So when we opened our doors, we were thinking like, maybe we can help 4 people in 2020 just go ahead and crush it in real estate. And we had 76 people join us that first year during COVID. So we launched, and then 2 months later, COVID hit. And that's when things really took off, because when people's sales go down 20, 30%, they're looking for a better commission model structure. And ours was 100% commission model. So people were naturally attracted to the really great compensation model that we have. And they jumped over. And then their businesses obviously took off the next 2 months after, because the market started roaring forward as well. They started implementing the processes and systems that made us successful. and it was off to the races. So that's kind of the story. The next year after that, we added, similar number of agents, and it's just kind of compounded every single year. And it's been a really great journey. These agents, they come in as $3 million, $4 million producers and can go to 12 million to 20 million like that. That's our niche. We really know how to get people, to double with doing less work in a short period of time by just being really strategic and business planning.
Yep. No, I love that, dude. So a lot to unpack there, man. So, okay. First thing I want to ask is when you talked about, because it's like, okay, the quickest way to making more money isn't increasing unit count. It's being increasing the price per ticket per item, right? So, so you discovered that you're like, okay, I'm going to increase my price point. Well, and this is a common thing I hear from agents wanting to do this, from there, like what did you do to be able to increase your price point so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, you get what you target. I mean, it's as simple as that. So if you're targeting $100,000 listings, then you're going to get $100,000 listings. If you're going to target $1 million listings, you can get $1 million listings. So, for example, when I was calling through the for sale by owner expired list, I would always start at like the 400,000. I was like, why? And then one day, my coach challenged me, like, why don't you just start at the luxury and work your way down? And of course, I fiddled around for like 2 or 3 days before I actually did it. And then I did it. And of course, I get a $1 million listing. I sign the paperwork a week later. I sell it a month later, and I start breaking into these luxury areas, right? And when you get a luxury listing, you don't just get a luxury listing. You do the open houses, you do the marketing around it, you do the door knocking, you do as much as you humanly possibly, you do the mailers, you do as much as you humanly possibly can to get your name out there that you now sell luxury sales. I think a lot of agents do miss that. I did not miss that. I said, like, this is my opportunity to break into luxury and let everybody know that I'm a luxury agent. So that one listing led to a $2 million listing. The 2 million led to the $3 million listing, right? And you start working your way up, and your income kind of goes exponential at that point, because the top agents, at least in our marketplace, are either the luxury agents who sell, 50, 60 luxury homes per year, or they're the ones that are like massive teams that accumulate like 100 real estate agents. And those are pretty much the two models that are at the top of the charts. Of course, you don't have insight into their profitability margins or the profit margins, but you do get to see where the most of the production is going. And I decided, for me, luxury is where I wanted to push forward. I didn't have any extra designations. I didn't have any luxury classes that I went to. I just sold luxury, and it's just a quality, like, just give people really great service and follow up with them, and you'll get more business. It's really not complicated, because most agents don't do that. So if you do that, then you're off to the races.
Yep. Awesome, dude. Okay. So then you mentioned, okay, so then you switched kind of through accident, right? Like child on the way, or have your first child, then, you act, it wasn't intentional, slipping a disc in your back.
It's bad. Yeah, it's
So
not
then
great.
it's like, how do we figure this out? That
Yeah.
metamorphosizing the showing agent model, which I love, because it's like, okay, now we can scale the buy side like we do the list side, right? Because then it's like, okay, you can go out there and set the appointments, conduct them, whether it's Zoom, in person, right? And then just all that time consuming stuff, you're able to pass off the boots and the ground stuff. And there's a lot of different showing agent models that are out there, different philosophies. What seemed to be most lucrative for you, when it comes to how you structured that?
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty easy to find showing agents. They're usually agents in your brokerage office who aren't producing at a high level, but want immediate cash. We pay them $25 a door. And then you basically text connect them with the showing agent, and then with your customers. And then after they're done with the showing, they'd connect you back with them saying, hey, here's the ones they like, didn't like, here's why. And then you call them afterwards and do a little extra consult with them. And if it's the one that's like the perfect property for them, then you do go back out to see the home with them if they want to do that. And that literally saved us, it chopped off like 50% of the time that we were spending. Because, I mean, Jacksonville's the largest city by landmass. So you could be doing showings 30, 40 minutes away from your primary base. And that's a huge problem. So you don't realize how much time gets eaten up by just being in the car. It's not really effective use of time. It's also not very valuable to your customers. What's really valuable to them is you doing the research and making sure that they find the right property. And when they do find it, that everything checks out in the way that they want it to have happen. So,
Yeah, a lot of the fear that I hear from agents that are wanting to implement this is they feel like, oh, well, what if my client feels passed off? Right? Like I'm delegating them off, and they feel like it's going to diminish the customer experience. Whereas you just mentioned it actually increases the customer experience. How did you handle that to make sure people didn't necessarily feel like they were just being passed off?
Yeah, it was bumpy. So we experienced that too when we started, but we do buyer consultations with every buyer that we work with at the beginning of the transaction. And if you simply set the expectations, because people only transact every 7 to 10 years. If you set the expectation that this is how it's going to work when you work with me, you're going to meet with me, I'm going to be doing all the quarterbacking, and then you're going to be meeting with this person who's going to be showing you the property. If they're not available, you're going to have another person available because we need to get you in ASAP. They don't have any problem as long as you tell them how it's going to go. First off, you got to tell them how it's going to go. Then you got to put it in writing, like in a form that you give to them at, when you're meeting with them for the consult. And then you got to email it to them, and then you got to pretty much text video as well. So they have it like they understand how your process is going to work. You also, at that point in the beginning, introduce your transaction coordinator if you have one. You want there to be no surprises. You want to be completely transparent of how you work, why you work that way, and then show them that it's a proven model, which is here's all the 5-star reviews of people who've worked with me through this model. Most of the time, 80-90% of the time, people have no problem at all with it. You might have one person that's like, okay, I don't really want to do that. I just want to work with one agent. Well, that's okay. There's plenty of other agents. I can refer you to one, but this is the way that it works with us in our model. And again, people would rather pay for your expertise through the phone than go to the property in person with you to see it.
Yep. Yep. And that's been our experience too, man. When you sell the value of why this is a value and beneficial to them, dude, people buy into the process. And then from there, because the other fear then is, well, what if they drop the ball? What if they're late? What if they don't show? What if, so I'm guessing, okay, you got a dialed in process. You're able to inspect what you expect with the process. What does that look like to ensure that, you have your showing agents that are actually truly following the process that you need them to follow?
That's a great question. We never had a problem with it because we were always targeting full-time real estate agents that were looking to get either onto our team or involved with us in some way. And the agents, the way you keep them focused on your clients is you train them while they're doing the showing. So sometimes you let them sit in on the calls and hear your conversations and things like that. That's more valuable than anything else that they'll get in monetarily wise when they're talking to somebody that's just sold 60 homes last year, 60 homes, there's not a lot of agents who do that. So for you to be able to hear how they talk and how they communicate and everything, it's really important for them to pick up on that. And a lot of the agents who were our showing agents are now top performers in the marketplace because they understood how to communicate effectively.
Yep, love it. So it's not just an arrangement of, hey, I'm paying you $25 a door. It's also like, okay, you're going to get mentored, coached, and this is kind of a means to an end where you eventually, like, we're going to morph you into it being a top producing badass yourself.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much how we did it. But I mean, we did both ways, but we didn't have a problem either way. We really didn't have an issue with people not showing up or anything like that.
Okay, perfect, man. So then, okay, if we fast forward to, okay, you launch Momentum Real Estate, Momentum Realty, then what is that? It sounds like with the flat fee model that you've went from not having this as just one giant team, but now then working with others to build their own teams, or is it kind of a combination of both?
They are on their own. And basically what we did is we took all the resources, everything that we did personally on our platform that we had for our real estate team, and basically gave it away to every agent who joined our organization. I mean, we have an operating system. We have basically a document that documents exactly how we do things. It's like 100+ pages that we give to our agents. They get access to us, me and Brittany, on basically solving any of their problems. It's basically like you get part of a team, but you don't have to pay any team splits. And not only do you not have to pay team splits, but you don't have to pay the big box brokerage splits either. So it's like a no-brainer for a lot of people. They're getting a ton of value at a very low cost with valid leadership who have actually done it themselves, that have a vested interest in seeing them succeed. And so that was just the magic formula for us. And guess what? It works. People replicated exactly what we did. And then we would use those success stories and share them with other people. And then that would attract the next wave of people, because we never had a full-time recruiter or anything like that. We had somebody that helped us with marketing and a little bit of recruiting in the beginning, but that didn't work out. And it's been completely organic since the beginning, just through putting out content. So it's just my wife and I running the organization with 3 virtual assistants. and it runs like a very well oiled machine, probably better than a lot of the big box companies that have a lot of overhead and a lot of staff, just because it's very automated. But everybody gets their answers within 20, 30 minutes, based on the models and systems that we have within the company, which is really important, especially when you're starting out. You have a lot of questions, you need your questions answered, and people do get their questions answered really quickly.
Yeah. And then you're able to dump those resources back into coaching, training systems, the things that truly help them grow and scale.
Yeah. Get them focused on the variables that actually drive revenue, not the tons of shiny distractions that don't matter.
Yeah. So then from there, dude, it's because look, I mean, from when you launched this in 2020, 2020, 2021, really maybe even the first quarter or first half of 2022, vastly different beast than what we're seeing, kind of mid 2022 till today, right? With transaction volume being down, cost of capital being up. But man, you are still getting your agents to go out there and I mean, the average realtor's business is down about 40%, which then translates the average team down 40%, brokerage down 40%, but you guys are continuing to scale. So what has been, the key to that in this changing market to get your people to continue to produce?
So yeah, that's an awesome question. Number one is, for the first 2 years, we didn't accept any agent that did less than 10 units, like in a year. So we only took really agents that were making enough money to have what we define as like an actual business opportunity. It wasn't really very much part-time. Most of the time, we never took any part-time agents. In April, and so I think us having that foundation of top producers, they're a little bit more immune to the market swings because they already have a business that's existing. They have a referral database. All of that is really important. We also help them with their database touch programs, which makes it grow faster. So we help them implement. So we don't just tell them what to do. We actually have systems where we will do it for you and we will send it out for you. You just have to click a button, which I think is a differentiating factor. And then, so our company is down this year. We're going to close out down about 13.1%. In terms of volume from the prior year. We are just as profitable as last year. So we got a little bit smarter on the P&L, which is fantastic. In the agents volume, they're still making, the average agent in our company is still making over six figures. I mean, that's the average is more than six figures. The average for our local area is like 23,000. So, they're doing 4x plus the average real estate agent, and that makes other agents want to be here. Agents in a down market, that want to keep growing, they want to get around other people who are producing at a high level, know what they're doing, and get that energy versus the bad energy, which is like, oh, the sky is falling, I don't know how to pay my bills, and that negative talk around the water cooler. We don't have that. So we're actually picking up a lot more agents right now, in these down markets than we do generally in the up markets, just because people want that productivity environment.
Yeah. And right now there's just such a big lack of leadership in our industry, and they're seeing that you guys are providing that leadership, and it's a great time, dude, to be recruiting, and because again, there's just an abundance of people that need leadership on how to navigate through these times. And so you mentioned before that, or you mentioned a moment ago that, okay, in the beginning, you only hired full-time agents that did 10 plus a year.
Yeah.
But the way that you said it made it sound like maybe you've switched that up now, or okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for catching that, because in April 2022, we launched a new agent program for agents who do 0 to 10 units in a year. It's called the Ascend Group. And what we did was we said our top agents can actually buy into this lower producing agent group. It's going to have a higher split. It's 80-20. And they can buy into this group, and they'll be financially incentivized to invest in the next wave of top producing real estate agents. And then when those agents produce more than 10 units in 12 months, they can graduate into the 100% commission model. So it's not like it's cut off and that's what you get. It's like it's basically more of a graduated system. So we brought in a bunch of new people. We had to, honestly, Joshua, because we had no choice. The top agents needed leverage because the market was so hot. They needed showing agents. They need people to do their opens. And we had this policy that was restrictive to them. So we opened the doors and we had like 27 people join in 2 months. It was chaos. About 50% of them are still in business with us, which is actually, we found out, is a really great stat, because usually in 2 years, we should probably have about 90% of them leave as new agents. So we've got 50% still here. They're still kicking butt. A lot of people have graduated through that program and are now on that 100% commission model. And then actually I have the opportunity to buy back into that model that they were originally involved with. So we're helping our agents make investments through their purchases. We're helping them buy commercial properties. We're starting a fund next year where they can actually borrow money from me and my wife and to do flips if that's something that they want to desire. So we're just adding to the ecosystem every value proposition that they could possibly have, so there wouldn't be a reason to go to another company, really financially, to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I love that. And when you say buy into, is that like, okay, they can come on as mentors, get a piece of the split, or what does buy into mean?
So they get an equity stake in that group, like an LLC that holds all of the lower producers, and that money that goes through that LLC, they get an equity stake in that LLC.
Yep. So then
That's
I'm
what.
guessing then they're highly incentivized to go out there then and make sure that those agents are kicking ass from like a mentor perspective.
That's right. Yeah, they're financially incentivized. So there's a lot of collaboration within the tribe. We call it a tribe. So they all work together to solve problems and give each other information because their finances are in a lot of ways connected. We also have a 20% revenue share program. So an agent who brings another agent in can get up to $3,200 a year off of that agent, which is a phenomenal opportunity, which I think actually we made it in a way that it's actually higher than the other kind of downline systems that are out there. So it's highly competitive. We don't push that at all because we want our agents to be producers, not recruiters. But so there's a few agents that take advantage of that and are making over $1,000 a month based on just this revenue share feature that we've added to the platform recently.
Yeah. Yeah. So then from there, dude, like kind of going back to, because I can't tell you how many, even team leaders that were, accustomed to doing 300 units a year for the last 10 years. Now, they're reaching out for help. They're like, dude, my business is down 60, 70%. And what I've discovered is that a lot of people got so accustomed to, because there's so much low hanging fruit for the last decade, where they were able to play a defensive position, be kind of passive, and enough business was just coming in. Where now it's like, okay, you haven't pivoted to offense, kind of like you did when you first got in the business, where it's like, okay, every day with that intentionality, what am I going to do to put a deal together? So speaking of that, I mean, what are you kind of coaching and guiding your agents on doing in this changing time that, like, right now today, to go out there and make deals happen?
Yeah, I love that. So we're bankers. We've been studying the market for like 15 years. I wouldn't say we're like professionals by any means, but it was quite clear when the Fed said that, in February 2022, they started raising rates. It's quite clear that the market would be changing. So at that point, we started having conversations with our real estate agents about their financials. So we would get together and talk about our financials, talk about us having runway. The market's not always going to be the same. The sales, we actually predicted that sales would be down about 40 to 50%. In our local market, it's closer to 20 to 30%. So we were a little bit bearish, but that outlook actually helped a lot of our agents. So we taught them to, sell off their investment properties that are not performing, have big repairs coming off that are maybe not, the cookie cutter ones that are in the prime of the city, which was obviously the right decision. So we started telling them everything that we were doing personally with our finances, and like basically on repeat for 6 months. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. You choose what you want to do in your life and your finances. Here's what we're doing, and here's why we're doing it based on what we see. So we were, like you said, like we're on the front lines. We're communicating every single day what we're doing, and then we're helping them execute. And that was really important to set them up for success. Of course, not everybody's going to hear or act on that. And you're going to have the $10 million producer go to like zero, basically. And you're going to have, but then there's the people who do listen that go to 3 million and are at $22 million this year. So it just depends on the person, what their motivation is and what they're interested in doing. But our platform, just whatever the agent's goal is, our job is to help them get from point A to point B as fast as possible, because we don't know how long a great market is going to last. I actually personally think this market is still pretty decent relative to what I was in back in 2016, when the price point was half of what it is now, and you're getting paid the same amount for the same, basically the same amount of work. There's actually less inventory, so you don't have to do as many showings. I personally think right now is still a strong market for agents who are just going to bust their butt and make it happen, and they're willing to invest in their database and do the basic business planning tactics that are proven. If they do database touch programs, if you have a database of 100 people, you should be able to easily get 30 referrals from them in a year period. and have an incredible profit margin. There's no reason why they shouldn't. So we help our agents execute on things like that. Makes a huge difference for them.
Yeah. So with that stat right there, I mean, that's about 2x what most quote unquote gurus, whatever the hell that means in our industry say. Most say that, okay, if you're working your database properly, about a 10%, yearly, I mean, as far as repeat referral business, whatever coming from that. So you guys are seeing, 3 or 2, over double that.
Yep.
Or triple that. So with that, like what are things that you are doing? It sounds like maybe you're educating clients on the investment, like you're trying to get more than just one transaction out. Or like, what are things that you are doing to get those types of numbers? Because that's kind of unheard of, dude.
Yeah, you're building an exclusive community. So, and that's why we were invited on stage at Mega Camp and stuff like that to share. Hey, how are you guys doing this? We call it the review, repeat, and referral business. So we call it the 3 R's. And we educate our agents on how to execute it. So we executed a 144 touch program within 1 year, which is a lot of touches. I mean, you're doing everything. We have low gifts, which is a gift that goes out, local gift that goes out every single month. It's an email and a text. We have 2 emails on top of that go out to the customers. We have a mailer that goes out to the customer every single month. We're calling them every quarter. We're doing giveaways. We're doing client appreciation events. The whole client appreciation event thing goes on for a while. And then we're giving away raffles as well to help with the reviews and the referrals and all that kind of stuff. All of them, when you do them in combination and you have it planned out for the entire year, should give you a 30% referral rate. The problem that most agents have is they might execute 2 of the 30 things that they're supposed to do and they don't see the results. And so they just go back to winging it every single day. But when you actually execute the full plan and you have the scripts to be able to ask for the referrals, and you actually do a buyer consultation, and at the consultation you say, like, my goal by the end of this transaction is to get a referral and a review from you by the end of the deal. If you set those expectations with people and you actually execute the plan, your business will explode. That's what we did. So what we're doing is we're teaching other people how to do what we did. And we can easily see who's crushing it in this market are those referral-based agents that don't have to worry about getting up and grinding every single day. They have more longevity, they have higher profitability, and they have lower stress. And it's a great formula, and it's a lot less work, to be honest with you. But a lot of agents, they just close a house, they don't provide particularly good service, and then they never communicate with that customer again. And they just miss the golden opportunity to have an incredible business over the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. Well, and smart operators like yourself understand that the key to this business is increasing LTV. And every great operator in every industry understands that. So it's not looking at this, this is a $10,000 commission check. It's okay, over the lifetime of my career, this customer is at least worth $70,000 to me between repeat referral business. And you're just obsessing with you and your agency, your process of maximizing LTV.
Yeah, it's just delayed income. It's like future, it's there. You just have to do the work now to get it. It takes a little bit of time to get it, but it's going to be there. And with prices going up, I mean, again, your commission dollars going up when prices go up. So it's been a huge gift to the industry these last 3 years. I mean, it's like the best income opportunity on the planet. There's no question.
Yeah. And then when I see agents wanting to leave this industry right now, I'm like, look, man, like, you guys don't understand the gift that we have. I mean, this is what other kind of inflation hedge is out there? I'm like, if life's going up 10% more year over year, I mean, number one, because we're paid on commissions, that's somewhat of an inflation hedge in its own. But then from there, okay, I can control, if life's going up 10% a year, I can just make sure my business is going up 10% a year, 15% a year, and I'm beating inflation. I don't know, with the stagflation we're experiencing, I'm like, show me what career we can go out there and do that. Okay. So then, dude, okay. So that is, now let's just say you have an agent that was like you when you first started, that only knew 4 people, that didn't have this database yet. That has to go out there and hunt every day, for this new business. What are things that you are guiding them on to do in this market that you're finding to be most effective and efficient?
Yeah. So first you got to look at the person's personality profile, because not everyone's going to be a freak like me and be willing to like make, 3 hours, you hit 500 people on the phone before noon and then go door knock in the afternoon. Like a lot of people aren't wired that way. So we look at the personality profile and figure out who they are naturally and how they're wired, and then try to match them up with one of the 21 different lead generation levers that's going to be the best fit for their personality profile. So like a high I, right? I would want to go somebody who's got a high level of interpersonal skills and is really good at in person. I would want to put them at a BNI group or open houses, right? So we're kind of guiding them a little bit more than what they would get as if they were just trying to figure it out on their own. So that's one step, is like kind of cutting the learning curve and getting them really focused on who am I and what is my actual skill set. Some people come in and they hate people and they just want to do YouTube videos or Google. I've got a couple of those on I mean, they're great agents and they do a great job for the customer, but they want no business of being in person more than they need to be. And they just want to create content. They're good at video editing and stuff like that. That's the beauty of this industry, is there's so many different ways to generate business opportunities, but really help our agents focus in on what their niche is going to be, because their niche, their top 3 lead generation sources should accumulate to be about 80% of their business. And so we help them figure out what are you going to be your top 2. We also provide for sale by owner and expired leads through the company. We provide Boomtown referral online leads through the company and things like that. So I didn't have these when I started. I didn't have access to a group of high producers that I could ask questions to. Now we have that. I didn't have leads when I started. Now we have that, right? So we have all the things that I didn't have at the beginning, which makes it really easy for somebody who has the work ethic and drive to just tap into everything and then just move the ball forward very quickly. Like just having the ability to have somebody who knows how to underwrite properties if you think you have a deal, and then also get financing from them like that same day if you really found a deal and you wanted to move forward. I didn't have that. And so you plug into our ecosystem and you get everything right at your fingertips. There's no excuse why you can't get to the level that you want to within our organization. And it's a really low cost model relative to the peers. So this that's something that we're really excited about.
So then, and I know that this might seem like a obvious or silly question, but I want to ask it. Just all right. So you've seen now, not only from your own production, but then, with all these agents bringing them on, not everybody works,
Yeah.
like what are the, what are maybe the, I don't know, the top, maybe 3 things in common that the people that do take this next level have, but then those that also just don't create success, because you give them every reason to go out there and, or like you give them every cool possibility to go out there and succeed, but not everybody does. So I guess I'm only asking this. Okay, like what are the top things to make sure that we avoid, and what are the top traits, behaviors, habits that we need to adopt to ensure? Because you've experienced both of the different extremes at a high level at this point.
Yeah, and I can tell you what, I love spending time with the top producers. So it's like night and day mentality game. It's pretty easy to see the difference. You put them next to each other. I mean, it's like they're not even of the same. They're just not this. It's just like, how are you the same being? Like it's just so crazy. Like you're both human, but your operating systems are completely different, and that's okay. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. So the similarities amongst the top real estate agents that I see is they have had some sort of pain in their past that has caused them to have a larger purpose that keeps them going when stuff gets tough. They have like just massive amount of grit where they wake up every single day. They're willing to take the massive action. They're willing to get out there. Failure bothers them, but they use it as fuel to just keep going instead of seeing the failure as like a bad thing. They're like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But they have like a chip on their shoulder, generally, the ones that I've seen, or they've got like a mission that's bigger than themselves and they need the money for some reason. That's generally what we've observed. On the top people. On the low performers, it's usually victim mentality is the number one issue that we see. They shift accountability to everybody else. They never take ownership. They complain a lot. And I think that's probably 80% of the population that I've met in my life. And I used to be one of them. So I get it. Like I get it. But I had to work on my mindset and be coached through all of the things that I was going through. And the good news is for that 80% that's got that victim mentality, there is a path out of that. It takes a lot of reprogramming and it takes time. If you get around the right group of people, it can actually, your belief system can change like very quickly. And that'll change your habits. And if you get the right success habits, it can change. So, that's what we see. A lot of people we can't help. So if we can't help them, then we immediately send them to a competing broker that we think that would be a better fit for them and maybe has the reprogramming techniques to be a successful salesperson. And we send them their way. And then maybe when they're ready to come back to us with a success mindset, then they come back to us, because you don't want to bring a lot of victims into your organization because it can spread like wildfire. The mindset here is phenomenal. everybody's motivated, everybody's hungry to get to the next level, everybody wants to learn how to invest. And that's what is exciting about this industry, is the sky is the limit. So if you bring in, again, some of those low producers into the firm, it can actually be a really huge negative to the mentality of the group, and people won't want to be associated with your brand. And that's why we've been really focused on partnering with top producers and then getting those top producers really solid backup talent that can help them leverage and scale.
So how do you, because like people can interview pretty well. Like most people are going to be like, well, yeah, I'm a victim. I kind of show up late half the time. I'm lazy, right? Like people just, they tell you that they want it. Have you found an effective way to shake this out in the interview process? Or is it just kind of more, okay, once we take them on, if they don't pass it, like you have onboarding stages to test them that they have to pass to be able to prove, because words are hollow, actions show what we truly value.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm bad at this. So I can tell you like how many mistakes we made through this. And I've tried everything, Joshua. I mean, I've tried personality profiles, right? I'm looking for the high DIs. Like I can tell you, and then I say no to somebody, and then I see them take off over there, and it's like I have not figured out at all how to screen people. All I can tell you is like I can tell a victim mentality when I hear one, and I want to stay away from it as much as it's like, is this person across from me? Are they going to be really fun to work with? Do I really think that I'm going to be able to help them? If the answer is no, then I send them elsewhere. Like, we're not the right place for you. That's really the only thing that I can say is like, do I want to spend time with this person? Do I think that I can help them based on what they're telling me? And if the answer is no, just send them elsewhere. I tried doing, hey, like do this within this period of time, send me this within this period of time, like little hurdles to get people through. And first off, most people wouldn't do the first hurdle. So that was like obviously an issue. And then, but they would be successful in real estate. So I don't know. I have not figured it out. If you have the golden secret, let me know. But the only thing I can say is that if I can help them, I'll try to help them. If I can, I can't.
Yep. Now I don't know if anybody's cracked that code, dude.
Okay.
I definitely haven't either, man. Just like you, man. I've had so many people go, oh, this person's going to be a badass. They're going to be a stud. They become a massive disappointment. I've had it the flip side where I'm scratching my head of, did I make a mistake here? And they shock the living hell out of you, because real estate's the most level playing field of any industry I've ever. Like, doesn't matter how tall, short, good looking, ugly, fat, in shape. Like, no, it just matters, dude. How bad do you want it? And that's tough too. Go out there and measure in a test or an interview process. Right. So then from there, like you mentioned that, you guys are running a very lean operation.
Yeah.
You're able to be hyper responsive to your people.
Yeah.
But how are you able to do that without just being the God a minute guy, being bogged down? Is it just, you have a back end that allows people to be so damn resourceful? Like what does that look like so you can still focus on the growth of the organization?
We have great systems. Number one, we're not competing brokers anymore, so we're not out there selling. So this is what we do full time. We've built out a web of resources, a Facebook page with all the agents. They answer each other's questions. They help each other with showings, with open houses, with transaction coordination, with legal questions, with lending questions. My wife is the broker owner, so she's the one that answers all the legal question calls, which our agents are good. So we don't have a lot of problems. So I think that's like a misconception. Like when you have good agents that just go out there and produce, they don't create lawsuits. They don't create issues. They just go out there and produce. I think the majority of the issues really arise at the agents who aren't answering their phone. They're not providing good service. They don't care about people. They say the wrong things. They don't know how to communicate. We tell people like our core value is customer obsession. Like customer obsession, own it. We want people who really are going to give an awesome experience to the consumer. When you have that in your first conversation, you're setting that expectation with them moving forward that that's what's going to happen. And if they don't do that, we actually let them go out of the brokerage. Like if we get enough complaints from an agent, even if they're a top producer, we've removed $8 million+ producers from the company because we don't want our reputation tied to them in any way. And I think that makes a huge difference. So we don't get a lot of the headaches because all of our agents are good, solid agents. And we train them to be, and our expectation is that they will continue to be so.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have bricks and mortar? Are you virtual? What does that look like?
We had to go virtual because of COVID. which
Yeah.
was actually cool because then we ended up being in 14 locations throughout Florida, like virtually, like those are the markets that we're at. So we're actually a top 10 brokerage in Gainesville. We're the number one independent brokerage here in Northeast Florida, as an indie office. And we decided this year to get an office, and we have one. We might have two, another one in the next couple weeks here. But generally, we don't see very much value in the office. We don't see that our agents get a lot of value out of it. They go into it maybe to have a meeting or something like that, but it wouldn't be any different from them going to Starbucks or just meeting at each other's houses or wherever they want to go. That's convenient. But it's a nice to have, and we had the office because we bought it 3 years ago. That's the only reason why we have one. Is because we just bought it at a really good time and just transitioned it into a real estate brokerage office.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. When I first, I'm a little bit old, about 10 years older than you, but when I first got in the business, dude, it was like everybody was in the office all day, it was a thing. Now today, and they're ghost towns. Going to a 10,000 square foot real estate office, beautiful building,
Yeah.
$500,000 in TIs, and they might have 2,000 agents total. And I'm like, dude, I see like 2 agents in there, so then from there though, dude, how do you keep this culture alive? With it being virtual, because a lot of people have a difficult time with that.
Yeah, so we do a lot of in-person stuff too. So it is virtual in nature, but we do have, like, we rent out a country club every month and we go and do a big class in person. We have local lunch meetups for agents that, we have conversations. We pick a topic each lunch, and then we go out and have lunch in small groups with agents in different market areas that we're affiliated with. So there's a lot of good culture going on. A lot of our agents do deals together. They do flips together. They help each other with their business. They meet up at local locations and just set up their own meetups. We do book clubs, things like that. So we do probably about 4 virtual trainings per month and about 4 in-person trainings a month. We also do quarterly social events. Like, we do fun stuff like paintball or bowling, and just get people together. We have a lot of everyone's really competitive here. So we do like a lot of competitions. And that really just drives people to be together. One of our core philosophies is to like live a big life, and that doesn't mean just selling real estate all the time. We say that the purpose of real estate is to get out of real estate, like to have the option to not have to do it. Because really, when this company started, me and my wife were driving down our street, and it was like 100 degrees out. We saw this like 70-year-old agent walking across the street with an open house sign, and we're like, what is she doing? Like, how is she 70 years old? We had just become millionaires. And we're like, maybe if this person would have started with what we're teaching at our company, she wouldn't have to be 70 years old and putting up a yard sign to make that commission. Because there's no question she would rather have the option not to be doing that.
Yeah.
If she had the financial literacy and the resources that we had. So we were like, it's our duty to give this information away and to get as many people on the fast track to financial independence as soon as possible. And that's what's really important to us.
So what, January? So in a month, that'll mark what, your 4 full official years.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Which, congrats on that, dude. And then that time you become the number 1 indie brokerage in the Northeast of Florida. And, so with this growth expansion, like what's the long-term vision, dude? Is it to expand outside of Florida? Is it like, what, I don't know, 20 years from now, or whatever that time frame is? Like, what do you see this thing going?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, every year is like a whole new twist and turn. Like we have no idea. I mean, we also have we started a title company and a mortgage company. We didn't expect to do that. Now we're starting a lending company. We didn't expect to do that. We help people with their flips. We didn't expect to do that. We didn't expect to have other agents at the top buy the agents at the bottom. We're basically being very experimental and seeing what works and what has the biggest bang for the buck for agents and what's going to move them from point A to point B. I think we've come a long way. I think we have a long way to go on making sure that our success rate is even higher, despite, if some people don't even want to put the work in. We want to make this like the most attractive financial model for them, where the ecosystem builds a lot of it, helps them build a lot of it for them. But our target market is pretty slim. I mean, because again, we're not taking brand new agents or newer agents. We generally like to see agents more than 4 units in a year. So if you think about like Northeast Florida Association of Realtors, we have 12,000 real estate agents. Well, we study the agent population. Like 87% of them like don't produce enough for it to be like a legitimate income opportunity that's going to beat getting any other job. So our target market's like 1,300 real estate agents in general. And then out of that, like there's probably only a third of those 1,300 who are going to be a good personality profile with somebody who's growth minded, customer obsessed, because that's actually rare. Those attributes. So we see our target market locally being like 300 to 400 real estate agents before we cap out saturation in our local market. So at that point, the only way to expand would be to go to other locations and pick up, 2 to 5% market share of those other locations. How we're going to do that, we don't know. It could be like, franchise model. It could be, we don't know yet. We're really happy with where we're at. We're going to continue to double down in our local market until we hit market saturation. And then I think from there, if there's agents that want to expand to other markets, we find other leaders that we're really excited to partner with and have the cultural fit, then there might be additional opportunity for them to expand into other markets, because we do think that this model is really attractive right now.
Yeah, I love it, dude. A mistake that I've made, and I see so many make, is they go wide before they go deep. And you guys are going deep. So then you can eventually go wide. But I mean,
Yeah.
you're at least from my experience and observation, you're doing it right, man. It's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Or I think, one of the other things, is acquisition. So we're going through an acquisition right now. So if we're going to go to another location, find a late leader that doesn't want to be in charge of the brokerage anymore, and then acquire their brokerage, maybe agents that 50 to 100 agents in a brokerage where it's big enough where there's actually potential profit opportunity. Because I think under 50 agents, you're not making any money. Like it's really hard. But over 50 to 100, I think that would be like the range where it would make sense for an acquisition. So I think that might be one of our strategies to expand into other markets while we still double down locally.
Yep. And with the years to come, there's probably going to be no shortage of those acquisition opportunities, dude.
No, we've had people come to us that already who've been like, hey, would you look at us? And we're starting to like actually look and have serious conversations about that.
Yep. Love it, dude. So I got two more questions for you, but before we jump into those, for anybody that's watching or listening, I mean, we have, a lot of our podcast, listeners that are in Florida. So maybe they, want to have a conversation. If they meet your requirements, you want to have a conversation about joining your amazing brokerage.
Call me anyway.
But then from there, like all the rest of us, we're all in the real estate industry. So maybe they, have a referral for you or for one of your agents, or man, they just want to continue learning, from you and all the awesome, amazing shit that you're doing. Like, where's the best place to, do that at, to follow you, to get in touch with you?
Yeah, shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm really responsive. It's I am Jon Brooks, JON, no H. I also have a Substack which goes out. I have about 16,000 readers that read it every single time I post, which is really cool. Was not meant to be that way, just happened somehow. I just write down what I'm thinking, what's on my mind, events, notes from events that I went to, things like that. It's called Think Big, Question Everything on Substack. And if you want to subscribe there, you can, read through some of the stuff that I've put out there. And I'm about to put one out that's going to be on the agent population and what happened this last year with income, based on different, agent level of production. Because that's something that's really interesting to me, is the financials behind agents, and like who's winning and what's working in the marketplace. I think a lot of agents will find that super valuable. So you can subscribe to me there on Substack.
Yep. Awesome stuff. All right, dude. So I know well, maybe you don't hate this question. But I know it's a tough question to ask. And of course, none of us have a crystal ball, so we won't hold it to you, to it. But also with your investment banking background, and especially with, being niched down to the real estate space in there, in studying, just overall financial markets, real estate markets, I'm guessing you have, some thoughts and opinions on, where this market might be headed, because it's like, you got two camps, dude, right? You got these that are like, oh, the market's never going to correct or crash. Trees are going to grow forever and touch the sun, and then it's like, you got this other camp that's like, all right, dude, this music's going to stop and this thing's going to be ugly, but to your, I don't know, best guesstimate, like where do you think that this is possibly heading?
I don't know. I mean, if we're all being honest, like we don't know. I mean, we can all place our bets and just pray for the best. I mean, look at us this year. Like, did anybody at the beginning of this year think that we would be at the highest level in the S&P 500 index today? Like, it's just like unbelievable what's going on in the stock market. And there's confidence coming in there. There's a lot of cash on the sidelines that's coming back into the system. Interest rates are coming down really, really quickly. We're going to have a nice little bump, I think, next year. To me, all of this is dependent on the interest rates, because we're in an affordability crisis. So if interest rates come down, we have the demand from the buyers. It's just an affordability problem. So if interest rates come down, I think we'll just have another buying frenzy if interest rates come down. So it's like all my predictions are based on that one variable. And right now it's looking good. It's looking good for next year. I wouldn't say that the beginning of the year is going to be pretty. I think, we told our agents, 4 months ago that the desert, it's going to be a dry, it's going to be really tough over the next 6 months. Like, you guys need to save your cash and cut your stupid stuff that you're buying, and maybe stop buying $70,000, $80,000 cars that don't last more than 2 years and stuff like that. So, we're telling them what we think they should do. And right now we're saying, I think they should still be cash heavy and get as many resources as possible. But I think there will be a bump at the middle of next year. Probably the end of Q2 next year. I think we'll see a nice pickup.
Yep. Love it, dude. All right. So then from there, all right. So if Jon today, you go back to Jon in 2015, when this journey first started, you're sitting on a park bench. You're able to sit, your version of yourself today, able to sit with your younger self, knowing what you know now today, and give yourself a couple pieces of advice that you feel like you wished you would have known, that would have, even fast forwarded that much more, this crazy success trajectory that you've been on. What would those couple pieces of advice look like?
Oh, man. What I would say is, like, I would want to ride the wave as much as possible. So, like, one of the reasons why Jacksonville was such an attractive market was it was like underdeveloped versus the rest of Florida. So you want to be at like the right place at the right time doing the right thing. And we got all three. And so what I'm thinking about today is what today is the right place, the right time, and the right thing. Because if you do the wrong thing, like, nothing else matters. Like, you're just doing the wrong thing. But if you do the right thing at the wrong time, it doesn't matter how good of a swimmer you are if the wave is crashing. So you got to find a way to, like, kind of go with the tide and be a little bit one step ahead. So I would try to find what that one thing is. So, like, for example, in real estate market lingo, like, I checked today, there's like 1,300 expired listings. Like, expired listed, like, that would be like something to double down on. We know open houses are really crushing it right now with all the relocations that are happening in Florida still. So what I do is I try to make my niche, what I think the next thing is going to be. I don't know. Maybe that is online leads. Probably not, though. It's very saturated, right? So you want to figure out what it's going to be, and then figure out how to position yourself in that. For me, personality wise, I'll do anything. I just want to do the thing that's going to get the biggest amount of output for the amount of input. A lot of people, they kind of have to figure out their personality profile to stay motivated and keep things going. But yeah, that's probably what I'd be like. What's like the next thing? If you have the ability to peer around the corner just a little bit to get ahead of the trend and then ride the wave, that's probably the best thing that you can do. And I think about that all the time, because we hit the trifecta being in Jacksonville in 2016, getting into real estate. You're in Florida, you're in an underdeveloped market that's developing really quickly, and we're buying and selling real estate. And it's still a great market, for all of those things. But I think if we can look around the corner and see what's that next thing going to be, because I don't think it's going to happen again. Like, the Jacksonville phenomenon, I don't think it's not going to double again from here in the next 3 years. It's just not. But, like, kind of figuring out what that next thing is.
Yep. Love it. Such powerful stuff, man. And I know how busy you are, and the fact that you took time out of a busy day to be here with us and share all your amazing knowledge, man, it's been a huge honor, and truly appreciate it, man.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, 100%. And those watching, listening, as always, we truly appreciate your support. Keep crushing it. Keep kicking ass. And we'll see you next time. Peace.